Om. 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 Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavtu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwarah Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Welcome to Singapore Festival of Hinduism, event number 20. I'm Shreya. I've been a volunteer at Hindu Center for the past 5 years, and I teach children in the Bala Gurukulam program. And I participate in various events at the center. So I'm very excited to be here and sharing with you today. We are going to be talking about how you can build a strong foundation of Hinduism for your children. I also have with me Lalita, my dear friend, and we are going to be doing this session together. So I'll let Lalita introduce herself. Um, off to you, Lalita.
Thank you, Shreya. Namaste, I'm Lalita. I've also been a volunteer at the Hindu Center for the past 10 years. I volunteer with the Balagurukram program, Vedic Yoga, and Bhakti programs. And today we're very excited to share our experiences we've had with teaching children at the BG program.
Thanks, Lalita. The agenda that we're going to have today is going to be about, for parents mainly, how as a parent you can instill Hindu values in children and how you can actually build a strong foundation of trust and belief in God and encouraging your children to actually take ownership in our tradition and culture. Now, we do understand that as parents, you might actually face challenges when it comes to teaching your children about Sanatana Dharma. You may not have the full visibility of our Shastras. Sometimes it may be unclear where to start or what to follow. We also understand that there's a lot of greatness in our tradition, but we may not know about that greatness as well. So there could be some fear of not being able to follow the Shastras correctly, and of course there's lots of misconceptions there. So we understand all of that, and we've tried to make sure that today's topic is solely focused on you to kind of like make sure that you're instilling values that are easy to follow and that you can start immediately today itself. Now, let's get right into it. Yamas are great examples of simple concepts that you can actually instill in your children from a very, very young age. So these are very, very simple concepts such as nonviolence, being honest, truthfulness, having patience and compassion, or eating moderately. Most of these values are basically sort of based on don't do unto others what you don't want done unto you. So this was actually one of the topics that we taught this year in our class in Balagurukulam. In fact, we went through each of these values on a weekly basis. So as a parent, what you could do is potentially try to instill these values through stories, through activities, and none of this should come as a surprise because these are things that you want to make sure that your children, are instilled with, and they're following this. Another interesting, sort of concept is Pancha Mahayagna, and this is something that was touched upon even in the ritual session during one of the talks that we had for the Singapore Festival of Hinduism. Mr. G. Srinivasan also mentioned about Pancha Mahayagna being one of the 5 daily duties that family men and women should actually do. So Pancha Mahayagna is basically 5 different yagnas that are for Devayeknya, which is reverence and devotion to Ishvara, and Pithryamya, which is reverence to elders and ancestors, and Bhutanya, which is preserving environment, and Manush Yagna, which is service to humanity, and Rishi Yiknya, learning the scriptures. Now, these duties, as he mentioned, are mainly focused on grahastas, which is family men or women actually doing these duties. But you as a parent could start thinking about how you could actually include these daily duties into your child's daily life. So making sure that they are practicing these yagnas from a very, very young age. And today's talk is mainly going to be focused on how you could actually do these yagnas through various activities and steps even at home. Now, why, as a parent, you should be thinking about instilling these panchamaharanyas to your children? The biggest reason is to express gratitude. Um, our well-being is actually dependent on these five yagnas. It is the blessing of the devatas that we are here and we're able to live on this earth. It's because of Ishvara. So we should express our gratitude to Ishvara by doing Devayeknya. It is due to our parents and forefathers that we have this body. So Pithryamya is an expression to them, of expression of gratitude towards them. And it is the work of our fellow beings that we enjoy things ranging from, food on our plates and internet on our hands. And we are indebted on a daily basis to living beings such as the cow for its milk, and even something as small as the bacteria for converting the milk into yogurt. So be it knowledge, which is material or spiritual, is what enables us to accomplish all of this. So these five entities deserve our gratitude. So you as a parent should be thinking about how you can actually instill these values in your daily activities. And we can dive right in on how you can actually practice this at home. So let's start with Bhutayanya. So as I mentioned earlier, Bhutayanya is feeding animals, birds, insects, and the beings of the world. And think about how the cow and the calf actually symbolize the relationship between the mother earth and her inhabitants. So she responds with love and nourishes all living forms, as well as take and use her bounties with care and diligence. So when we care about all the environment, about the animals and the beings around us, Mother Earth gives us back, in abundance. So as a parent, you should be thinking about how you can make sure that your child understands the value in environment, worshipping and considering nature as a creation of Ishvara, and showing kindness and compassion to all of them and not taking anything for granted. So, as a child growing up, they should be thinking about how they can be sensitive to the environment and understanding that ecology is vital for preservation of life. So, reverence in nature is extremely important, and that's actually through Bhuta Yagna that you can practice that. Now, every creation is Ishvara, and preserving that is of utmost importance. So like things like polluting the earth and littering in littering on the street are all things that we shouldn't be doing. And how can you actually practice this on a daily basis with your child? So one way could be potentially like planting a tulasi plant at home and showing them the value of life and other living organisms. You could also think about how you could have a pet. I know that it's not possible for everyone, so that's something that you could also like encourage them. If you have animals at home, like treating them well, and educating your child about recycling and sharing about the importance of protecting the environment, and doing seva together to help the environment, like picking up litter at the beach or sustaining water bodies, talking about recycling with your child and why it's so important and protecting the environment. And last but not least, using eco-friendly products where possible. It's not really easily accessible for everything. Not all products are eco-friendly, but making sure that some of you using less plastic and making sure that the products that we use don't have sulfur that I know affects that harms the environment. Things like that is something that you can actually do at home. And one important thing is, while you're doing practicing all of this at home, it's important to share with your child why you're doing it. So the why is the most important bit when you're practicing any of these yagnas. So like from a young age, telling them why you're planting a tulasi plant or why you have a pet, and how they're supposed to treat animals, or educating them about recycling and sharing with them why we are doing that. And here we have an example of what our kids did in Balu Gurukulam class, one of those years where we made sure that the children actually did an eco-friendly Ganesha, and They also made like lamps, and it was really beautiful, and they really enjoyed this exercise, and this is something that you could also do at home. And there was also one time where we made the children actually do bags with used t-shirts. So that's also something that you could do with them as an activity at home. This is something that we can easily follow at home, and we can also tell the child that, hey, like, we are not going to use plastic bags, we're just we're going to use this cloth bag from now on, kind of thing. So that's actually a great exercise to share with them about Bhutanyanya. The next yagna that I want to talk about is Manusha Yagna. It's basically service to humanity with the attitude of serving the Lord, seeing divinity in everyone, and serving people is basically the highest form of service. So, um, in in such a form of service, there's only gratitude towards the person for giving us the opportunity to actually serve. There's even a saying that says Nara Seva, Narayana Seva, which basically means that serving a human being is equivalent to serving Narayana, or serving Ishvara. And service is being sensitive to to the needs of fellow human beings, sharing and caring for them. And the service doesn't always have to be monetarily. It can also be through knowledge, resources, time, and also sometimes praying for others, right? So that's also definitely something we can do. Now COVID has hit us. There are lots of people in this world that are suffering, so with your child you can pray for the peace of everyone in the world, all beings. That's also a type of Manusha Yajna. And by sharing, we actually grow from becoming from a consumer to a contributor. So cultivating that aspect is very important in a child. um, and you can also think about how you can encourage your child to understand the value of dana, or giving. So there's so many occasions in our Hindu tradition where we actually celebrate, like our birth, wedding anniversaries, 16th, 18th birthdays, even death, eclipses, sometimes like, and lots of festivals, right? And these are intrinsically associated with our culture and tradition. So what we could do is potentially use these occasions to contribute to the society, giving, doing a charity with them instead of like asking for a present. You can potentially do a donation with your child, and sharing with them why you actually did that this year. That would be a great starting point. And another way of showing Manusha Yagna is, of course, compassion. So giving kindness in all situations and instilling that compassion to your child from a young age. Um, and and showing them the objective value of money and the role it plays in our lives. Now, money is really important in our life, and there are some people that have more of that than others. So if you're one of those people, making sure that you're telling your child that, hey, we have all of these things because we have money, and there are people in this world that don't have that money, and making sure that they understand and have gratitude towards that, and give it to people that don't have access to that money, is also something that you could teach them from a young age. How can you do that with your child? You can start with Atithi Seva. Hospitality is number one when it comes to Manusha Yagna, and doing Purta Karma, which is actions done for the benefit of the society, which is very significant component of Manusha Yagna. So things like constructing water reservoirs, tanks, lakes, cleaning rivers, which I already mentioned about cleaning beaches and not littering, providing infrastructure, facilities, and establishments, and supporting educational institutions, healthcare system that can be of service to humanity. So there's so many different ways you can contribute, and it's not always monetary. It's very important that you understand that it can be through time and your effort, and of course monetary is definitely there. And lastly, practicing seva with your child on all occasions, like I mentioned earlier. Want to show you a quick example of a time when we did practice Manusha Yagna in our class with our children. We did this really fun activity where we got all the children to write kindness messages into beautiful cards, and they got decorated. And then we made them actually pass it on to strangers on the street, along with the tissue packet. it was such a fun exercise, and all of them loved it. And this is something that you could do at home as well with your child, and let them know why we are doing this and we are making someone else's day. Um, it's definitely a good exercise for us to practice Manush Yagna. Another yagna that we want to talk about today is Pithryamya, which is basically caring for our parents, elders, and performing rituals for our ancestors. So this actually involves upholding certain values and traditions that were handed down to us from our ancestors. So the think about a banana tree and its offshoot that comes up by itself and signifies the continuity of lineage. It basically symbolizes the transfer of family values, traditions to future generations for preserving them for posterity. So that's exactly what Pitru Yagna is. So it's not just showing respect to our elders and our ancestors, but also kind of sharing our traditions down to our children and our future generation. Now, with Pitru Yagna, in our Vedic culture, like why are we doing this? Is because we don't just identify with an individual from an individual standpoint when it comes to our self identity, but we also identify ourselves with our family and culture, and that's very unique to Hinduism. You'll notice that no other cultures actually have this aspect where the family value and importance of our parampara and all of that comes from Hindus. And the another thing that I want to mention is in the Vedas, there's a concept called Vidya Vyavahara, which basically means our elders are basically our role models. How we emulate our elders in social and individual situations, and how our elders are role models, is why we need to make sure that we're doing Pithryamya, because we look up to them and we kind of follow them. And it's also a concept that's in our Vedas. And we want to show gratitude to our ancestors for the birth that we have had, and our family and our heritage. And if you notice, any occasion, any celebration in most families, they'll be offering a prayer to our ancestors first. So whether it's like a parayal or something like that, you will start with that. So how do you practice that with your child? So this is I think some of us may already be doing some of these steps, like doing a small tarpanam for our ancestors on their death anniversary, or on specific occasions. And you can also think about paying obeisances to elders. So you should be an example to your children by making sure that you're respecting elders in the family so they can actually learn from you. And having a picture of an ancestor that has passed on, or of the elders in our family, in our puja room, and making sure that we give them a flower, or a little prayer on a daily basis, would be a good start. And during festival, making it a point to actually remember all our elders and our ancestors, so praying together for our elders, and wherever they are, making sure that they are living a comfortable and a happy life. So this one is a good example of when we did Pithryamya in our class itself. We did a Pada Puja for all our parents, and our students actually did the Pada Puja for the parents. And this was really fun because it was the first time we did this. And we got all the kids to line up and wash the feet of the parents. And this is a great example of an activity that you could do with your child. Now, you might feel a bit awkward asking your child to do Pada Puja for you, but what you could potentially do is do a Pada Puja for your parents, for the elders in the family, so they can actually see and learn from you. Or you could do it with your child to the elders in the family. So that's a good starting point for Pithryamya. Now I'm going to pass it on to about Rishi Yiknya and Devayeknya. So off to you, Lalita.
Moving on, Rishi Yiknya is accomplished through studying and teaching the Hindu scriptures. What's so unique in our tradition is that we have a wide variety of texts, from the Vedas revealed by God Himself to the texts put together by various authors who have taken the time to interpret the scriptures so that everyone can have access to this knowledge, no matter what your age is. We often remind the children that tremendous effort taken by the sages to pass down this knowledge of the Vedas over thousands of years. That too, without the technology that we have today. As such, it is our duty to remember them and pay our respects to them by taking the time to study, to do daily scriptural studies, and do our part in carrying this tradition forward by teaching it to the next generation. Some of the texts that we have used in our classes that were very useful for our students are the Panchatantra stories, which is an ancient Indian collection of interrelated animal fables. Another great set of books would be the Amarchitra stories. These are a great collection of stories on Indian history, mythology, folklore, etc. And this can be introduced to the younger kids as they find it to be really interesting because of the pictures. And these books can be used to introduce our very own superheroes to the children. In fact, we got our inspiration from these books to name our classes after them. For example, one of our classes is called Thunderthor Indra and Hulk Hanuman. So we can get inspirations from these books as well. Another resource you can tap into would be the books by Chinmaya Center. They have come up with a great collection of books for young children, teenagers, and adults. You may want to check them out as well. Another collection of books that we use are by Purna Vidya Foundation, which covers a wide range of topics for an age group of 6 to 17 years. What's great about this book is that each book covers a topic and it comes with a teaching guide which guides you on how to introduce the topic to the child, and also activities, worksheets, scripts for short plays that you can do relating to the topic. So this is very useful for parents. And some other texts that you can introduce are stories from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam. We also have lots of videos on YouTube that you can tap into. And as mentioned earlier by Shreya, if you're introducing the topic on values or yamas to children, one way you can do this is to play a short video clip that's available and get the children to identify the values demonstrated by the characters in the video. And you can also get them to share their experiences practicing these values. This would be a good way to reinforce what they have learned as well. Finally, we have Devayeknya. Devayeknya is offering daily worship to the gods in recognition of their presence. It is cultivating devotion with an understanding that all creation is a manifestation of Ishvara. It is also a way of expressing our gratitude for all that is given to us by him. And there are many ways that we can engage in Devayeknya that we will be discussing some with you today. One of it is through bhajans, dance, and drama. Our traditional form of art has its source from Samaveda, and this would include Carnatic music, Bharatanatyam, etc. One of the easiest yet effective way to connect with Ishvara would be through music and dance. This can be in the form of simple bhajans and folk dances as well. In our classes, the children love to sing bhajans and play simple instruments along with the bhajans. This is one way you can start kindling their interest in participating in puja as well. The art forms in our tradition definitely serve a higher purpose than just being a hobby, that is to connect with the divine. And some of the instances where I have felt a deep connection with God has been through music, and that would be something that I personally can vouch for. Next would be chanting and japa. Chanting and japa is one way that you can get your mind to be God-centered. And shlokas, namavalis usually contain different names relating to a specific deity. Example, the 18 names of Ganesha or the Sahasra Namas. And these names usually describe the characteristics of these deities. For example, for Ganesha, we have Egadantaya, one who has a single task, or Gajananaya, one who killed the Asura Gaja. This will help the child to remember the stories relating to the deity and further strengthen this bond with Ishvara. Chanting and japa also helps one to concentrate better and creates a positive effect for the person who is chanting. It's one way that the child can protect his mental health as well. And prayers and chanting can be used to tap into his grace for specific purposes. Just to give an example, we can relate God's grace to the sun's rays. Like how sun's rays are available for everyone, like that. And just as we use solar panels to convert energy into electricity for our various needs, likewise, prayers and chanting act as these solar panels that can be used to tap into God's grace for the various needs that we have. And we have shlokas for education, good health, healing, prayer for peace, etc. So he's ever compassionate and has given us so many ways to connect with him.
Guru Brahma Guru.
So that was one video of one of our students practicing shloka chanting, and that's something that you can do with your child as well. Another way to practice Devayeknya would be to visit the temples that we have in Singapore. Encourage children to take part in pujas carried out in the temples. It's a good way to expose children to the Vedic agamic rituals carried out in the temples. And our temples are also filled with beautiful sculptures and paintings. And during our last temple visit to Krishnan temple with our students, they were super excited to see the various avatars discussed in class in the form of sculptures and paintings. And in a way, it is also our duty to keep our temple culture alive. And if you're unable to go to the temple, most pujas are streamed live for us to, pay our respects to God. Another way would be celebrating festivals. It is also a way of expressing our gratitude. For example, we celebrate Pongal to show our gratitude to the sun god. So like that, we have many festivals throughout the year. Children love it when we celebrate festivals at our Balagurukulam classes. It gives them a chance to dress up in our traditional outfits, and we take the time to educate our children on the significance of these festivals. You may also engage them by getting them to help decorate the house with the various traditional decorations like making the toranam or putting a kolam, etc. And you can also take the chance to explain why we use the different leaves, flowers during these festivals. For example, why tie the toranam, or the significance of a lotus flower, the aragampul mala. And in the end, they also get to eat all the delicious goodies that comes with our celebrations. Finally, doing puja is one important way to connect with the divine and acknowledge his presence. It enables one to build a personal relationship with God. And just as our children spend time with their classmates, friends through playtime and meals to get to know one another and build friendships, right? Similarly, there are steps in a puja where we invite God into the home, offer the deity food, water, etc. And this gives the child a chance to communicate and create a personal bond with God, and also to get his blessings. And it is also something that you can do as a family. Next, we have a short video on how you can do a simple puja in your home with your child. So this is originally a 16-step puja where 16 different offerings are offered to the deity. But if you were to do it with a child, it may be too much because there's a lot of chants involved. So we have consulted with our teachers and simplified it to suit the young ones. And here is a demo video of the simplified version. And this video will be available online for you to view later as well. We will now start with the puja demonstration. For the offerings, we have flowers, sweets, fruits, water, sandanam, kungumam, and dhupam. We will now start with 3 ohms. Om. 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 Offering to the Deepa. Deepa Jyotir Parabrahma, Deepa Jyotir Janatanaha, Deepo Me Haratu Papam, Deepajyotirnamostute. Achamanam. Drink the water. Om Achyutaya Namaha. Om Anantaya Namaha. Om Govindaya Namaha. Wash the hands. Put your hands together. Guru Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Next we have Vigneshwara Puja. Offer the flower to Ganesha. Shuklam Baradaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturpujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Next we will do pranayama. Take a deep breath in and out. Take a deep breath in and out. Take a deep breath in and out. Okay, now we will do the sankalpa. Put your right hand over your left hand. Yes. Mamo pata samasta duritakshaya dwara Shri Parameshwara Prityartam Shri Ganesha Pujam Karishye. Offer the flower. Asana Puja. Prithvi Tvaya Dhrita Lokaha Devi Tvam Vishnuna Dhrita Tvam Chadaraya Mam Devi Pavitram Kuruchasanam. Ganta Puja. Agamatam tu devanam gamanatam tu rakshasam kurve gantaravam tatra devata hwana lanchanam. Kalasa Puja. Cover the pot. Gange cha yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalesmin Sannidhim Kuru. Sprinkle the water. Okay. Now we will offer sandalwood. Gandhan dharayami Kungumam Gandhasyo pariharitra kunkumam samarpayami. Take a flower. Offer. Pushpaihi pujayami. Next we will offer dhupam. Dhupamagrapayami. Next we will offer deepam. Deepam sandarshayami. Water. Dhupadīpanantaram achamaniyam samarpayami. Now take a flower. Go around the prasadam 3 times. Amatopahara nivedayami. Offer. Water. Nivedyanantaram achamaniyam samarpayami. Okay, now we will offer camphor. Okay, keep showing. Na tatra suryo bhati na tandra tarakam nema vistyuto bhati kuto yamasmihi tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Karpura nirajanam sandarshayami. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. This concludes the puja.
We hope that you found the demo useful. And if you notice in the demo, you'll notice that the child is actually just following the instructions of the adult, and the adult is actually chanting. So you can do something like that at home as well, where everything is pretty much set up with all the puja items and everything, and you can slowly introduce the child to all of these puja steps at home. And what like Lalita mentioned, the video will be available for you on YouTube, so you can always play it and practice it at home. The last concept that we want to touch on is attitude. So we talked about yamas, we talked about the Panchamahayagnas that parents can actually practice at home. The last thing is to understand Arpana Buddhi. In order to understand Arpana Buddhi, you have to understand the concept of yagna in ancient India. So yagna were conducted for thanking Ishvara for all the blessings that were received. So the main motivation when it came to actually doing a yagna was to thank Ishvara and acknowledge that everything happens because of Ishvara, whether it is the rains, or the heart beating without resting, it's because of our blessings from Ishvara. So there's nothing in this universe which is not due to Ishvara, and yagnas was one of the ways that we could potentially pay back for all the blessings that were received in life. So since everything belongs to Ishvara, so what is it that we can actually offer to Ishvara? So the only thing that we can offer is our actions. So this is basically Arpana Buddhi. So you do all actions as a dedication to Ishvara. You offer your actions with love and affection, and any action is done with a prayerful attitude, even mundane daily activities. So all your actions are done with a prayerful attitude, and results thereof are accepted as prasada buddhi with a prayerful attitude. So this is a concept of karma yoga, and as parents, we can always practice this, arpana buddhi and prasada buddhi. Have an attitude that everything that we receive and give is for Ishvara and because of Ishvara, and cultivating this will help you lead a peaceful and calm life. Now, once you yourself are doing and practicing this attitude, what happens is your child is actually learning from you as well, and you are the most important role model to your child. So it is important that you as a parent practice arpana buddhi and prasada buddhi. With that, we would like to conclude our presentation, and I would like to quickly recap what we went through today. So starting with teaching yamas for your child. So, whether it is cleanliness or practicing truthfulness and compassion, you can make sure that you're cultivating these values in your child from a young age. The next step is to also practice Pancha Mahayagnas, which is 5 daily duties. So all the different yagnas that we talked about, practicing them and making sure that we teach our child the whys behind it. And last but not least, cultivating a strong understanding of Arpana and Prasada Buddhi and practicing that at home and everywhere that we have, everywhere that we go, will help you have a well-rounded Hindu child growing up with you. So this will help you have a strong foundation in Hinduism from a very young age. And you'll notice that none of these steps are very difficult, and these are simple concepts that we can actually adopt, even if we don't have the entire knowledge or the vast knowledge of Hinduism. With that, we would like to conclude our presentation, and we are happy to take questions that you might have. So I think we do have a question. So something about prayer. So let's look at that. It looks like there's a question about, are there any specific chants and shlokas to Ma Saraswati, Lord Ganesha, and other gods? And since children go to school every day, what forms of prayer would you suggest for children to follow in the mornings and in the evenings? Lalita, what do you think?
So they can definitely do the puja, because as seen in the demo, the puja only takes about 5 minutes. Once you get used to the steps and the chants, it will only take 5 minutes. So that's something that you can start with. If that's too time consuming, you can introduce the children with simple basic shlokas, like they can start the day by chanting Karagre Vasati Lakshmi, or they can do a simple shloka for studies, Saraswati for Saraswati. And when they take food, they can chant Annapurni, and then when they go to sleep, they can chant Loka Samasta. So it kind of like every step of the day, they have like a chant to chant, and then they can inculcate this in their daily lives as well.
Yeah, 100%. And these are very simple shlokas that a child can actually start with. And I really like Loka Samasta, which is like, again, peace for everyone in the world as well. Like, that is a beautiful prayer that we can actually start as well. I think there's also another question. What can parents do to help the child if they themselves are ignorant of any of the Hindu practices? Now, that's definitely a challenge that we do see a lot of parents have, right? Because we don't have that knowledge ourselves. Like, how can we make sure that the child is understanding? I think one is, it's the same challenge that teachers also face, like myself, which is making the effort to learn about our culture, about our traditions, about our Vedas, and even as a teacher myself, I think I have to keep myself updated. I go for classes because kids ask a lot of questions. So if we're expecting our child to follow these Hindu practices, it has to start from home. And as parents, I think one way is, of course, like sending your child to classes like Balagurukulam or Chinmay Mission or Project Bhakti. But it is also important for the continuity of learning for the child at home as well. So even if you send them to a class and they are learning these practices there, how can we expect them to like continue this and practice at home? So it is important for the parents to actually put in some effort to learn about our culture and tradition, and all the steps that we talked about today, like the yamas or the panchamahatmas, is a good starting point, like doing it at home, and then of course practicing puja. If we don't know the chants, there's definitely Google, that you can get access to all of that. There's lots of videos on YouTube as well where you can start, and attending classes yourself would be a good start too, and making sure that your child is taking pride in our tradition and taking ownership in the tradition. So like festivals, celebrations, getting them involved, even if it's just showing a small dupam and deepam every day, making sure that your child is there while you're doing it. So getting them involved in these small ways would be a good start, and of course, like learning these Hindu practices yourself would be the next step. Lalita, is there anything that you would add?
No, I think that's all we have for today.
Yeah, and I think there are no other questions that we see. We hope that you found this session useful, and please share your feedback on YouTube or Facebook. We really appreciate the time that you have taken to kind of watch this session, and we would like to thank Hindu Center for this opportunity, and we hope that you can practice some of the steps that we've shared today. I do have some announcements, so let's.
Stop sharing.
So, as you know, this Festival of Hinduism is organized by Hindu Center. The Hindu Center is a charity that was formed in 1978 to promote greater awareness of Hinduism, as well as to raise the knowledge of our Vedic scriptures and practices. So the center's activities are based on the three pillars of Jnana, Bhakti, and Seva. As you can see on the slide, each pillar supports a range of activities. We have Bala Gurukulam, the classes that we teach, but we also have other Hinduism classes, Hindu Forum, Vedic Yoga, and interfaith events that happens. And there's also monthly bhajans and prayers for the sick, and all of these events that Hindu Center is actually supporting. In 2019, Hindu Center delivered over 25,000 beneficiary hours in prisons and old age homes. Your support will all allow us to deliver even more in the coming years. So you can also volunteer your time and expertise through our various projects, but you can make a donation at www.hinducenter.org.sg/donations or through the QR code. We are open for one-time or regular donations as well. So please support generously. So if you want to be informed of all the Hindu Center activities, then sign up for the WhatsApp at HC Broadcast Group, and you will receive timely notices of the different events taking place. So you can send a message to the number shown here and give your name and email ID as well. So you'll automatically be receiving any updates that Hindu Center has with regards to all the events that we host. Last but not least, thank you for your strong support so far for all the festival events. So coming up after this, I think there is a children's quiz. So that's happening later today at 7 p.m. And tomorrow we have a presentation on kids storytelling. And after that, we have Hindu festivals. And finally, we have Ask Me Anything at 7 p.m. So do join for that before the festival closing. So this is the second last day of the event. So hopefully you continue supporting us today and tomorrow as well. With that, we would like to thank you for your time. And we're going to do closing prayers.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।